Amid the possibility of further sanctions from Brussels and Washington, Vladimir Putin is set to address the annual session of one of Russia's largest business forums. Some experts are warning any restrictions could backfire on the EU. So what's at stake for them? Let's give you details here on RT International. For starters, Russia is the EU's third biggest trading partner. Almost half of Europe's cars are exported to the east, and 18% of the chemicals are sold to Russia. In fact, 8% of Europe's food exports go the same way. So it's fairly understandable that anyone with jobs in those industries would be worried. I asked Katie Pilbeam about this earlier, the host of Venture Capital. She asked some European business reps what sanctions could mean for them.
It's a relationship between the EU and Russia that is most in the spotlight, and that's because it equates to over $300 billion. We know that Europe is still reliant on Russia for over 2/3 of its energy needs, and despite trying to diversify away from Russia, actually last year trade between the two was at an all-time high. So Russia accounts for 20% of global exports of titanium, 40% of global palladium production, 40% of global platinum production, and it's second in terms of diamond production. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Now, Moscow is welcoming lots of business executives this week. International foreign investors are here to chat business, and a lot of them have been saying that it could cause these sanctions more economic harm than good for both Russia and the EU.
I think it's a watch and wait, which is difficult because everyone is trying to, the world is getting smaller, but it feels like that this could, hold things back.
I think everyone understands what would happen if sanctions were taken. It would mean, of course, a lot of issues for Russia, but it will also mean a problem in the EU or in the US, increasing unemployment. It could mean also less growth, maybe recession in Europe.
So as you can hear, their opinions are certainly clear, and when it comes to sanctions, they are most certainly not welcome. We did have the Russian market staging a recovery this week when the sanctions were introduced, and they weren't nearly as severe as some were initially fearing. And there's also been talk from the Russian government that if sanctions are imposed, then it would be time to look further east and cozy up some more to the likes of China and Japan.
Well, the West may be threatening further sanctions, but Russia's eastern relations are unaffected. Moscow's trade with China, it's on the rise, the turnover reaching $89 billion last year. Now, most of that was made up of oil supplies being sent to Beijing, which is the world's fastest growing energy market. Thorsten Patberg, who wrote the book The East-West Dichotomy, he says this partnership is only going to continue getting stronger.
The West is certainly concentrating on the Central Asian region right now, and this is where the interest of China also play in. So we have like this Eastern Bloc now forming once again. China is neutral at the moment. It doesn't like how the situation with Crimea was handled, obviously, because it has its own issues with the Xinjiang region and Taiwan and all this. But at the same time, it sees the action of Moscow as a reactionary movement against Western imperialism, actually, in Central Asia.